AITA for refusing to take back my wife after she left me before my father passed? I'm a 37-year-old man, and my wife, Emily 35, and I were married for 9 years. We have 2 beautiful children, Noah, 8 and Chloe 5. While our marriage wasn't perfect, I always thought we were stable, committed, and working through the ups and downs together. That belief shattered when my father's health took a turn for the worse. My father's illness and our relationship. My dad was a self-made man, building a carpentry business that became a cornerstone of our community. He was strong, both physically and emotionally, but years of battling kidney problems had weakened him. My relationship with my father had its complications. I chose a different path in life, pursuing a career in software engineering instead of taking over the family business, which caused tension between us for years. Despite our differences, we respected one another deeply. When my mother passed away suddenly from a heart attack, my father was devastated. I stepped in to support him, visiting frequently, and bringing the kids along to brighten his days. However, Emily refused to join us, citing grievances with my family, particularly my mother. Her complaints escalated after my mother's passing, and she began distancing herself from my father entirely. A deteriorating marriage. Over the next 2 years, my father's health worsened. He required dialysis twice a week and could no longer drive himself. I rearranged my work schedule to be there for him, accompanying him to his appointments on Wednesdays and Saturdays. My boss, knowing my work ethic over the past decade, supported me in this. Emily, however, didn't. She resented the time I spent with my father. Her comments were passive-aggressive at first, jabs about wasting time and accusing me of prioritizing someone who didn't even care about me. She referred to the fact that my father had disinherited me years ago due to our career disagreements, implying that my efforts were pointless. I tried to address her concerns. I offered to make up for lost time on other days, helping with chores and taking care of the kids. Nothing I did seemed to satisfy her. She began making last-minute plans on Saturdays, knowing I couldn't join, and leaving me to manage the house and kids alone on Wednesdays after work. When she crossed the line, the breaking point came when I overheard her telling Noah, "Your father cares more about Grandpa than he does about you." That crushed me. When I confronted her, she dismissed my anger, saying, "They need to know the truth." Her behavior escalated until one evening. She gave me an ultimatum. "It's either your father or me." I was stunned. "Emily, he's dying. How can you ask me to make such a choice?" Her response was cold. "He already cut you out of the will. Why are you killing yourself for someone who won't leave you anything?" In that moment, I realized she didn't understand me at all. "If you think this is about money, you don't know me," I said. "I choose my father." The next day, she packed her things and left, taking the kids to her mother's house. I didn't stop her. I was emotionally drained, and my priority was my father and our children. A bitter relief. While chaotic at first, her absence brought unexpected peace. I could focus on my father without walking on eggshells at home. I still called Noah and Chloe every night, but Emily limited the conversations, making it clear she wasn't interested in cooperation. One day, as I was driving my father to dialysis, he placed his hand on my shoulder and said, "You're doing so much for me, son. Don't let this destroy you." Those words touched me deeply. For years, he had been a tough and critical man, but now he saw my effort and appreciated it. The divorce in her true colors. A month after Emily left, I received divorce papers. There were no demands for alimony or asset division, and shockingly, no requests for custody of the children. While I was relieved, I was also furious. How could she give up on her children so easily? I signed the papers immediately and sent them back. 2 days later, she called me livid. "How could you just sign them without fighting for me?" she shouted. I laughed bitterly. "Emily, you left. You wanted the divorce. What else did you expect?" She started crying, claiming she thought I would beg her to come back. Her mother then grabbed the phone and berated me, accusing me of abandoning my family. Since then, I've been rebuilding my life. My father passed away peacefully a few weeks later, knowing he was loved and cared for. I've been focusing on my children, giving them the stability and love they deserve. Emily has now asked to reconcile, saying she made a mistake, and wants to come back. But I can't bring myself to forgive her betrayal and the damage she caused. So yay for refusing to take her back. Emily's reappearance and the real intentions. Months after my father's passing, life was finally beginning to feel balanced. The kids were adjusting to our new routine, and I was making strides in learning how to manage the carpentry business my father left behind. His legacy became my focus, and honoring his memory felt like my purpose. Then one day, there was an unexpected knock at the door. I opened it to find Emily, flanked by her parents. They were all dressed impeccably, wearing expressions of forced sympathy. Emily stepped forward, her voice dripping with insincerity. "Matthew, we heard about your father. We're so sorry for your loss. If we'd known, we would have attended the funeral," she said, dabbing at her dry eyes with a tissue. I stood in silence, letting the weight of the moment linger. Finally, I replied, "If you truly cared, you would have reached out sooner." Emily stammered, claiming she hadn't known where I'd moved. Of course, that was a lie. If she had genuinely wanted to reach out for the sake of our children, she would have found a way. Her parents chimed in with feigned concern, backing up her claims, but I could see through the facade. Then Emily began her pitch. "Matthew, the kids need their mother. I've been reflecting on everything, and I think we should try again. For them, for us, for the family we built together." I couldn't stop the laugh that escaped me. It was a bitter, disbelieving sound. "You're not here for the kids," I said plainly. "You're here because of my father's inheritance." Emily gasped, feigning offense, but her mask was cracking. "How dare you say that? I'm here because I love you, and I want to fix things. The money has nothing to do with it." I shook my head, my voice calm but resolute. "If you cared about Noah and Chloe, you wouldn't have abandoned them for months. You didn't call, didn't check in, didn't try. You left because I chose to take care of my dying father, instead of catering to your selfish demands. And now that you've heard about the inheritance, suddenly you want to rebuild our family? Be honest, Emily. This isn't about love or the kids. It's about what you think you can gain." Emily's composure wavered, but her parents quickly stepped in. Her mother, in her usual patronizing tone, said, "Matthew, we understand you're grieving, but you need to think about the children. Stability is what they need most, and that can only come from their parents being together. Emily has suffered too. Don't you think she deserves a chance to rebuild what was lost?" I turned to her unflinching. "The kids do have stability. They have a father who's present, who puts them first. The only instability comes from Emily and her choices." At this, Emily began to cry, but I wasn't moved. I'd seen this performance too many times before. Her tears were a ploy, a weapon she wielded to manipulate situations in her favor. "I think we're done here," I said firmly, stepping back toward the door. "I won't let you waltz back into our lives, just because you regret your decisions. Noah and Chloe deserve better." "I deserve better." Emily's father, visibly annoyed, muttered something under his breath, but I didn't care. I shut the door on their arguments and manipulations, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. Moving forward, in the months that followed, Emily didn't try to contact us again. It was as if her reappearance had been a fleeting attempt to seize an opportunity that she quickly realized wasn't hers to take. Noah and Chloe continued to thrive. They loved spending time at the carpentry workshop, where I was slowly learning the trade my father had perfected over decades. I made sure to carve out time to be with them, whether it was helping with homework, attending their school events, or simply playing games at home. My father's words echoed in my heart every day. "Take care of the kids, and never forget what you're capable of." Those words became my guiding principle, a reminder that I could rise above the challenges and provide the life my children deserved. As for the business, I decided to keep it. With the help of experienced professionals, I've managed to not only maintain its legacy, but also modernize certain aspects to keep it thriving. It's become a symbol of my father's hard work and a testament to the strength of family bonds. I've found peace in knowing that I did everything I could for my father in his final days. And now, I'm doing everything I can for my children. Emily's absence is a blessing in disguise, and I have no intention of letting her back into our lives. So, AITA for refusing to take her back. Not in the slightest. I chose integrity, love, and family over selfishness and manipulation. And I'll never regret it. Emily's desperation and my resolve. Life had finally settled into a comforting rhythm. The kids were thriving, the business was flourishing, and our home was filled with laughter instead of tension. But just as I started to believe Emily had vanished from our lives for good, she reappeared. This time, standing at my front door with a bouquet of flowers and a carefully practiced smile. I had just returned from picking up Noah and Chloe from school. The moment they saw her, their reactions were starkly different. Chloe, still too young to fully grasp the situation, squealed with excitement. Noah, however, sat silently, his small brows furrowed with uncertainty. I asked them to wait in the car before stepping out to confront her. "What are you doing here, Emily?" I asked, my tone firm but calm. She held out the flowers as if they were an olive branch. "Matthew, please don't be hostile. I just wanted to see the kids. I know I've made mistakes, but I want to fix them. I want to be present in their lives." I took a deep breath, torn between skepticism and a desire to give her one last chance to prove herself. Not for me, but for Noah and Chloe. Reluctantly, I allowed her to visit, keeping a watchful eye as she played with the kids in the backyard. But as the minutes passed, it became clear that her focus wasn't on them. Her glances lingered on me more than on the children. When Noah and Chloe ran inside to fetch a toy, Emily seized the opportunity. Her demeanor shifted, and she finally revealed her true intentions. "Matthew," she began softly, stepping closer. "Can we try again? For the family? For the kids? I still love you." I couldn't stop the bitter laugh that escaped me. "Love, Emily? This isn't about love, and you know it. You didn't show up until you found out about my father's inheritance. If he'd truly left everything to charity, would you even be standing here?" Her face fell, her expression flitting between hurt and frustration. "That's not fair," she said, her voice trembling. "I've changed. I want to make things right." I shook my head, my voice calm but resolute. "The kids are happy, Emily. They're safe. They don't need this chaos in their lives, and neither do I. You had your chance to be their mother, and you walked away. I won't let you come back just because you see an opportunity for yourself." She opened her mouth to argue, but I raised a hand to stop her. "If you truly care about Noah and Chloe, focus on rebuilding your relationship with them. But between us, there's nothing left." Her tears started to fall as she turned and left, but for once I didn't feel guilty. I had done what was necessary to protect my children and the life we were building. Emily's final attempts. For weeks after her visit, Emily's presence lingered like a storm cloud on the horizon. She started appearing at the kids' school, trying to talk to them without my permission. Thankfully, the school administrators were already aware of the situation and denied her access each time. One day, however, she managed to intercept Noah at the school entrance. When I arrived to pick him up, I found him in tears. "She said you won't let her see us because you're mad at her," he cried. "She said she wants to be with us, but you won't let her. Is that true, Dad?" I knelt beside him, my heart aching. "Noah," I said gently, "I would never stop your mom from seeing you if I thought it was good for you and Chloe. But right now, she's not here for the right reasons. My job is to protect you, even if it's hard to understand." Though still confused, he nodded slowly, trusting me enough to let the matter rest. Behind the scenes, I worked tirelessly with my lawyer, Mark, to safeguard my family's future. He suggested supervised visits for Emily, but warned me to remain vigilant. Her motives were clear: custody and leverage. I began documenting every interaction and interference, determined to shield my children from her manipulation. The court's decision. The final custody hearing arrived with a mix of tension and relief. Emily gave an emotional plea, painting herself as a mother desperate to reconnect with her children. But her words rang hollow. Mark presented a detailed timeline of her absence, her attempts to disrupt the children's lives, and her sudden reappearance after learning of my father's inheritance. The judge ruled in my favor, maintaining sole custody with me. Emily was granted supervised visits under strict conditions. Her facade of sincerity crumbled as the decision was read aloud. As we left the courtroom, she confronted me in the parking lot. Her anger was palpable. "You think you've won, Matthew," she spat. "This isn't over. I'll get what's mine one way or another." I stood firm, meeting her glare. What you've lost isn't because of me or the court. You lost it because you chose greed over love. The kids deserve better, and I won't let you hurt them again. She stormed off, but her words echoed in my mind. I knew she might try again, but I was ready. A new chapter. In the months following the ruling, Emily's interference dwindled. Without any legal or emotional leverage, her presence in our lives began to fade. I focused on creating a stable, joyful environment for Noah and Chloe. The carpentry business flourished, growing beyond what I ever imagined. I used part of the profits to support local families in need, a tribute to my father's generous spirit. It gave me a sense of purpose and pride, knowing I was continuing his legacy in a meaningful way. Noah, inspired by stories of his grandfather, started showing interest in the business, while Chloe delighted in hearing about the man she never had the chance to meet. Their happiness reaffirmed that I had made the right choices. Finally, I planned a vacation to the Bahamas for us. Watching Noah build sandcastles and hearing Chloe's laughter as she splashed in the waves was a reminder of how far we'd come. These were the moments that defined our family now, filled with love, security, and the promise of a brighter future. As I stood on the shore, gazing at my children playing under the sun, I felt a profound sense of peace. Emily's absence no longer loomed like a shadow. We had rebuilt our lives, and this time, there was no room for her chaos. Some battles are worth fighting, not for victory but for love. I fought for my children, for my father's legacy, and for a life free of manipulation. And in the end, I won something far greater than any court ruling. I won our peace.